Hello again. At the end of March, a hotel in the small Essex town of North Weald, a hotel called the Phoenix, burned down. It was at the time being used to house asylum seekers, but this wasn't some racist attack. The people who had been in the Phoenix were all moved to the Bell Hotel in nearby Epping. A few days later, that hotel too caught fire. One of the asylum seekers, Rawand Abdul was then charged with 2 counts of arson with intent to endanger life at the Phoenix Hotel on March the 28th, and then also at the Bell Hotel on April the 5th. The suggestion was, you see, that this asylum seeker had burned down one hotel and tried to burn down another. There was a good deal of opposition in Epping to have those asylum seekers housed in the Bell Hotel, and the fact that as soon as they moved there, somebody tried to burn the place down didn't do anything to lessen this opposition. There were persistent stories over the following months of young girls being stared at and followed in the street, and this made many parents in the town uneasy. 3 months after the fire at the hotel, a 14-year-old schoolgirl was approached and assaulted. Another woman was also sexually assaulted, and the girl's school sent a letter to parents advising them that it was not safe for the girls to walk home alone and unescorted. This really did have the effect of provoking anger because it soon became common knowledge that one of the asylum seekers at the hotel had been arrested for these assaults. This was an Ethiopian who had crossed the English Channel in a small boat and been in this country just a week before his arrest. This incident was precisely what parents had been warning would happen, and there was a spontaneous protest outside the Bell Hotel a day or two later, which passed off fairly peacefully. Last night, hundreds of local people arrived outside the hotel, demanding that it be closed down. There is no question about far right agitators here or outside influence. These were all local people who simply could not understand why these illegal immigrants had been dumped in the middle of their community, and they wanted them to be removed. It has been remarked that this sort of thing always happens in working class districts rather than in Hampstead or Richmond, say. This was an example, then, of spontaneous community action with a simple and reasonable request. I know some of those parents because it's only a stone's throw from Loughton, where I lived for a quarter of a century. I suspect that this is the beginning of a trend towards people living in communities where these places are being established, speaking out and demanding their removal. I certainly do not condone, let alone encourage violence, but I can readily understand why they are so angry because it's their wives and children who are being put at hazard. It's as though the authorities are deliberately setting up situations like this, which are bound to lead to confrontations. Last night, there was another demonstration, a big one, hundreds of people turned out. The police grew a little bit rough and they were shoving people and fooling up with riot gear and all the rest of it. But the crowd responded pretty robustly and made it clear they were not going to be pushed about. I can tell viewers that situations like this, not just in Epping, are as full of danger as open powder kegs, and it would take only a stray spark to set off some serious violence. The remedy, the way to avoid such a thing happening, lies in the hands of the government. It could hardly be more simple. Stop importing thousands of illegal immigrants and then dumping them in the middle of working class areas. This shouldn't prove too taxing a task, even for someone with Keir Starmer's limited abilities. If he chooses to ignore this, though, and continues to bring in thousands more such people and then stick them into the middle of peaceful and law abiding communities, then any resulting disorder will be the responsibility of the government. I honestly fear for the future. Just to be perfectly clear, I disapprove of violence. I'm against it. What I'm doing in this video is describing what I think may be about to happen and explaining where I think that the blame lies for this terrible situation. It is up to the government to change tack and avoid a head-on confrontation, unless they actually wish to see civil unrest, which, for all I know to the contrary, they may actually be provoking on purpose.